Hey everyone, I'm Andrew Nicholas,
I'm Kevin Baker.
and this is the Baker Nicholas episode 2. This video is talking about our tutoring experiences at Blacksburg High School on Wednesday, September 14th, and just what went on. Well, Kevin and I showed up, and we saw CeeLo again.
CeeLo Green.
Yeah, he was wearing this crazy rugby shirt, and still wore the shades the entire time though.
Same shades.
I haven't seen his eyes yet. But we actually achieved some of our goals this past week, and Kevin's going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, what we talked about last week was we really wanted to develop some sort of relationship with the students, because last week was the first time we were there, so the students were kind of shied away from us. We were able to help out some, one or two, but it wasn't like we were part of the classroom yet. And this week we really got our feet wet and we really got into the door. A lot of the students were more willing to accept our help and more willing to ask for our help. So we thought that was good. And but on that note, we actually still have one girl, the same girl, I don't even remember this girl from last week, but the same girl who just slid her homework away. She pulled the same move. She came into class, sat down, got all her stuff ready to do work, and then when she saw us walking around, the teacher reminded them, hey, we got these math tutors here, she pulled the same move, just took the excuse us. She just took the paper and just put it back in her book bag and pulled out a book, did the same sort of thing. So that's one more thing that we got to work on. I don't know if we should just be upfront with her about it, but it's just I don't know, we're there to help her. And I mean, if she doesn't want the help, that's her choice, but I mean, I feel like we're there to help.
Yeah. But a lot of great things happened because a couple kids that really didn't want our help last week, when they saw that Kevin and I were back again, and we're actually, good at, nice guys that, were at their level. A couple kids that I helped out yesterday just were happy for me to help them, and they were willing to have me help them and, have Kevin help them. So it was kind of nice. And I feel that as, we go on each week, more and more kids will be wanting to have us help them out, which is what we want. It was actually kind of nerve-wracking at first because we kind of ran into the struggles of being a tutor. Just as a math tutor, we're supposed to know everything immediately. Whatever the math topic is.
Those are the expectations.
Yeah, those are expectations for us since we're college math majors.
Yeah.
And I helped this one student with factoring, factoring polynomials. And since Kevin and I are, really good at math, we just never had to think about it of why we were doing what we were doing. We just factored it because we just knew what to do. And so the kid was like, "Oh, so why are you doing this?" And I honestly struggled. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, it's just something that we kind of take for granted. There was one thing that we talked about in class last week, and our professor Dave, he was telling us it's something we have to remember not knowing what we already know, and that's something that we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the students. It's almost we know these things and we take for granted. You have to factor, and you say, okay, well, I had to help. I had to just give them a little reminder. It's just when you're factoring, I guess it's hard to just say, but the numbers have to multiply to be the third term, and then they have to add together to be the middle term. Well, that's kind of something that we just know, but there was a time when we didn't know that, and so that's where we have to put ourselves, because we have to think like the students. We have to be able to relate to them, and then share with them the information, give it to them, and actually help them. We're performing what a tutor needs to do. So that's just one thing that we just need to be prepared with, and I guess that comes more with it'll come more as we have more experience tutoring, and also when we're teaching, because being a teacher, you're in the class every day, so you know what they're doing every day, you know their progress. But when you're a tutor and we're only there once a week, well, we're going to see different topics every week, so just having that time to refresh ourselves with the math and be able to explain it to them, it's just something that comes with being a tutor.
And we were really in a bind because one student, I guess he was in calculus, asked us to help him with synthetic division, and Kevin and I both forgot what that was.
Yeah, I just didn't know the terminology. It just seemed weird to me. But it only turned out to be dividing polynomials, which is something that we can both do. But when you call it, what was it called, synthetic division, it's just I kind of went in my head.
Yeah, but just some goals, I guess, for next week is to really make sure that, I don't know, we can. Well, the good thing is that Kevin and I can help each other out. If one of us is struggling explaining a topic, the other one can. But I guess, it's one thing that we really want to focus on for the next coming weeks is that we can explain. Well, kind of like what our Professor Dave said is remember not knowing, because that really I just couldn't think about that of just there was a time when I did not know this. How did I learn it? Or how did my teacher remember that? And even as teachers, I think if Kevin and I have that mindset towards any topic, we can really understand the struggles and the issues that students have with grasping certain concepts. But also, this is just a really good experience, just in general, just to see kids, just from the week 1 to week 2, just trusting us to help them out.
Yeah. So hopefully we had that same jump from week 2 to week 3. And there's another student in there that I worked with, and it's kind of interesting to me. Like, it wasn't that she didn't know the math. Like, she knew how to go about like doing her worksheet. Like, her worksheet was solving for variables. So say you had like 2x plus 5 equals 10, like something like, what does x equal, like things like that. But she knew the math, she knew the processes, but she just, I don't know if she just didn't want to do it or she didn't want to do it by herself, but all she really needed me to do was just ask her what to do next. Like, it wasn't like I was really helping her with the math. Like, I wasn't doing anything. I was just like, okay, so you have this equation, what do you do first? And she was like, well, do I do this? And I said, yes. And she said, okay. So she did it, and she was like, well, do I do this next? Like, and I was just like, yeah, like that's all I had to ask her. Like, I just had to ask her what to do next, and she could do it. She didn't really need my help. She just needed me to ask her questions, and that's something that I didn't really, like, I didn't understand what she was thinking because all I had to do was just ask her what to do next, and she knew how to do it. So.
Yeah, going along with Kevin, I've noticed that a lot of the students, they're not really confident in just like the steps.
Yeah, confidence.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's because their teacher doesn't give them a lot of practice problems, but I remember working with kids, like, they know what they need to be doing. They're just so unsure that it's the right thing to do that they just that's why they struggle.
Yeah.
Because they're just not confident about anything. But I had a similar situation this past week where the kid's like, I was like, all right, so you're solving variables on both sides. What do you need to do first? He was like, oh, I need to get all my variables on one side. I'm like, right, you got it. And he's like, but then if I asked him to do a problem by himself, he would like forget the steps immediately. And I was like, but you just showed me, just like with me prompting you, like not telling him the answer, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of like give him a structure to follow.
Yeah, just giving him a process.
Yeah. So I guess that's another goal we can work on, just trying to make kids just confident in themselves.
Yeah.
Because confidence is a big thing to just being successful in math. Like knowing that you can solve the problem, just is key to, doing the hard work or running to a wall. Most kids want to give up right away. And that's really frustrating as a tutor, and especially as a teacher, when kids are just not motivated to solve problems, even though they know it.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of nice, just as we go through each week, that we just are realizing kind of like what teachers go through in a little small glimpse of everything.
It definitely feels good, like especially with like the full front of like all these education classes and all the courses that we're doing, like the research, like actually being in the classroom is definitely, I don't know, to me it's more fulfilling to be in the classroom with the students as opposed to just be, I don't know, in our classes.
Yeah, learning about students.
Yeah. So, is that about it?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, that should be good. Thanks you guys for joining in, and we'll hope to see you guys next week.
For episode 3.
Episode 3.